Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear comrades, dear guests. First of all, thank you, Sergei, for your words about the victims in Stockholm. I think this is a moment of solidarity for all of us to express our solidarity and our feelings. And I was very grateful to listen to the President of the Socialist Party of Europe expressing that view that those who believe that we would give up our fight for our basic values, for democracy, mutual respect, for freedom of speech, for freedom of thinking, for a heterogeneous kind of lifestyles, that we would give up because they attack us with terror. I was very proud to listen to the chairman of the Social Democratic Party of Europe addressing that people. Never you will beat us. We will never give up our style of democracy, our style of life. You will never win. That should be the message of us to those in Stockholm today. Thank you very much to 1, 2, 3 Comic. Und vielen Dank, liebe Genossinnen und Genossen, because some of the people here in the hall are Germans. I think this is a wonderful event that the majority of Germans is speaking in a German city English. Shows we are a European nation and what we are fighting for. What we are fighting for in Europe, as socialists, as social democrats, but as German socialists, German social democrats, is connected to our history, to the history of my country, of our nation. Excuse me. I'm speaking from the early morning to the late night, so I have to look to my voice. Not to look to my voice, I have to care. That was a translation from German and English, so I have to care about my voice. This is connected to the history of our nation. 1945, the Second World War, with the atrocities of this terrible dictatorship and the Hitler regime, the war crimes and this attempt of extermination of Jews all over in Europe, with the deepest point of history of mankind, the lowest level ever in human history, in Auschwitz. Just 5 years later, this is the time between April 2012 and today. 5 years later, Belgians, Dutch, Luxembourg, the Italians and the French invited the very young Federal Republic of Germany, just created in May '49. At the beginning of 1950 and 51, to join the community of coal and steel. That was the core element of the later economic community and the later European Union. 5 years after the end of the Second World War, countries like Belgium, or the Netherlands, or France, in which these atrocities I just mentioned happened, where people suffered under German dictatorship, German occupation and crimes committed in the name of the German nation, invited that same nation to join the family of democratic nations and countries 5 years later. And I want to remind you, which is forgotten, that those in these countries, in France or in the Netherlands, I'm born in the triangle of 3 countries. I'm born in the western German border. the triangle between Aachen, Maastricht and Liège in Belgium, which is a very pro-European region normally. But people on the other side of the border where I live today, and where I was born and my whole family was living always, on the other side of that border, people fought for that reconciliation with the Germans, and they had not a majority in their countries behind them. There was a lot of people asking why now. They came twice, from 14 to 18, and then from 39 or 40 to 45. They destroyed our countries, they destroyed our industry, they killed our neighbors, our children. And now we should work together with them. Why? And the answer was, because it is necessary if we want to have peace, stability, growth, respect and dignity. We have to give the chance to the Germans to develop a stable and sustainable democracy. That was a gift to our nation, and we, the Germans, we accepted that. We were happy that there was forgiveness. And it was a unique chance in history that we as Germans were invited to join the family of democratic nations. And therefore, I believe strongly that more than ever, a German Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany is obliged to fight for a united Europe based on common values of mutual respect and of solidarity. That's the reason why I believe that it is our German task to strengthen Europe. And because we are left-wing parties, I want to address you with a message. Too long time we have accepted that Europe, that gift for all of us, that idea that countries and nations across borders cooperate in common institutions they create as a frame in which they can balance their heterogeneous interests on basis of mutual respect, on solidarity and on equality, where not the big ones give lessons to the smaller ones, where the rich ones are not giving lessons to those who have less money, but where is in solidarity and mutual respect cooperation to strengthen by those who are strong, those who are not so strong, to bring those who are on a lower level on a higher level, and not to play one nation against another by believing that the profit of one should be the losses of the others. This is what is our idea of a fair and just Europe. This is our idea of a fair and just Europe. And therefore, we must accept as left-wing parties in Europe that it makes no sense to go against Europe. We have to go against a neoliberal Europe. We have to go against the Europe which is in the hands of speculators. We have to go against the Europe which is for unregulated markets. This idea that we would compete in the 21st century on the basis of the lowest tax regime between the member states of the European Union, this illoyal competition between member states of the European Union who are running against each other with the lowest corporate tax to attract investors in the country, believing that this is creating growth and not seeing that this era allows to those who have money to play whole nations against each other. What we need is not competition on the lowest tax regime. What we need is the fight against tax avoidance, against tax fraud, is the fight against those who have enormous profits and don't pay taxes. The small owner of the coffee, of the cafe here in Duisburg, he pays his taxes. But the American company of coffee, besides, is bringing its profits in a tax haven. This is not fair and that's not just. And therefore I repeat that I would fight in my election campaign here in Germany, as I did in the election campaign for the European election, to introduce, we will not have tomorrow a European Ministry of Finance. It's too ambitious to believe it. But we could easily introduce a principle in the European Union. The country of the profit must be the country of the tax. We have to avoid that people can bring their profits in other countries. We must accept that Europe is existing. Those who tell us, let's destroy the European Union, existing also on the left wing of the political scale, the political spectrum. People who say it makes no sense to have a common market, and therefore let's renationalize things, are wrong. That's wrong. To reintroduce borders, also economic borders, is the opposite of what we need. The common market is not bad as such. The question is how to organize that common market. The common market could create enormous jobs, enormous growth, and enormous profits. The question is who has the profits, and the question is who decides about the rules. And if we want a more democratic Europe with more rights for the European Parliament, I'm in favor for more rights of the European Parliament, then, dear comrades, we have to mobilize for European election and for national elections. Or do you believe that liberal and conservative governments will vote for left-wing strategies? No, for sure not. And therefore we will start with a left-wing government in Germany, because the strongest member state of the European Union could turn Europe in another direction. That's what I'm fighting for. But those who are telling to people that the evil is the European Union are dangerous people. Listen to their speeches. They have for everything a scapegoat. And because this is exactly happening in France for the time being, I want to say a word about our comrades in France. Benoît Hamon, qui est actuellement dans une campagne électorale extrêmement difficile, je trouve qu'il faut le donner actuellement un signal de solidarité de Duisburg avec nos camarades en campagne électorale en France. Et il y a en France cette femme députée européenne qui je connais très très bien, qui essaie de devenir présidente de la France avec cette politique du bouc émissaire. Ils ont pour n'importe quel sujet un bouc émissaire. L'Europe, l'islam, quelle minorité, qui que ce soit la minorité, ils sont responsables. C'est la rhétorique du XXe siècle. Nous avons le problème parce qu'ils existent. Qu'ils n'existent plus, nous n'avons plus le problème. Ça, c'est la rhétorique des années 20 et 30 du XXe siècle. Therefore, everything is scapegoat. They have for everything a scapegoat. Die haben für alles einen Sündenbock. Für alles. Mal der Islam, mal Europa, mal diese Minorität. Für alles haben sie einen Sündenbock, für nichts eine Lösung. Und ihre Rhetorik Genossinnen und Genossen, ist die Rhetorik der 20er Jahre des vergangenen Jahrhunderts. Die sind schuld, dass wir die Probleme haben. Wenn die weg wären, hätten wir die Probleme nicht. Deshalb müssen die weg, damit wir keine Probleme haben. Das ist in Europa. Das, Genossinnen und Genossen, ist in Europa hinlänglich bekannt, aber besonders bekannt ist es in unserem Land. Und wenn in unserem Land eine Partei existiert, die einen Abgeordneten, einen Fraktionsvorsitzenden in einen Landtag schickt, der das Denkmal für die ermordeten Juden Europas in der Hauptstadt unseres Landes, in Berlin, als ein Mahnmal der Schande bezeichnet, der von uns verlangt, dass wir eine 180-Grad-Wende in der Erinnerungskultur vornehmen müssten, was immer das heißen mag. Vielleicht, dass wir Sozialistinnen und Sozialisten, dass wir Sozialdemokraten und die Gewerkschaftler nicht mehr daran denken dürfen, nicht mehr daran erinnern dürfen, wie die Nazis unsere Vorfahren in den Konzentrationslagern gequält und ermordet haben. Ist das die 180-Grad-Wende in der Erinnerungskultur, die dieser Mann will? Und er wird nicht aus dieser Partei rausgeschmissen. Nicht etwa, weil es keinen Grund gibt. Nein, sie wollen ihn nicht rausschmeißen, weil sie ihn behalten müssen, damit der rechte Rand an dieser Partei angebunden bleibt. Die sogenannte Alternative für Deutschland ist keine Alternative für Deutschland. Sie ist eine Schande für die Bundesrepublik. And nations cooperate across borders in common institutions. And common institutions are the frame, as I mentioned, to balance the very heterogeneous interests between the Federal Republic of Germany and Malta, between Portugal and France, between Finland and Austria. That idea that we cooperate across borders, and not only physical borders, not only borders between countries, across cultural borders, religious borders, across what separated us in the past, also across economic borders. That idea is a wonderful idea which brought to our continent peace, stability, justice, growth and employment a very long time. But a friend of mine, the movie director Wim Wenders, once when I described that idea, said to me, Martin, you are right, but the idea became an administration. And now people believe that the administration is the idea. I think he is completely right. And therefore I added a question, and I repeat that question. What should we do now? Should we give up the idea, or should we change the administration? I'm in favor of changing the administration. Yes, Europe is not effective enough. Europe is not social enough. Europe is not democratic enough. That's true. But we could change it. If we want to do so, we can make it less bureaucratic. And we can make it more transparent. We can make it more democratic and less intransparent. We could make Europe especially more social. And for us, the socialist movement, the social democratic movement, one thing must be clear. The fight between capital and workers' rights led in the second half of the 20th century to what we call, for example, in Germany, Mitbestimmung. Equality in the companies, the same rights of workers and entrepreneurs in a company. A fair and just deal between the capital side and the workers' side. That was the big achievement. But in the frame of national rules in the United Kingdom, for example, or in Germany, in Italy, like in France, or in Sweden, but always in the Swedish, or in the British, or in the German, or in the Italian, or an Austrian, or a French way. That went a very long time very well, and we made progress after progress in achieving workers' rights. But then we saw during the last 4 decades that the capital side was every day more internationalized, with the European common market giving them a lot of support to internationalize on the basis of common European rules their march of action and maneuver. But the other side, the workers' rights side, remained to be national. And that inequality leads to a fact that there is a lot of capacity and capability of transnational companies to act in that single market, but there is not sufficiently, on the other side, workers' rights. That's the reason why the European internal development is socially not balanced. And that's the key question for the upcoming years. How to rebalance workers' rights with the rights of the capital side. Therefore, I repeat what I said. That's a question of majorities. If a European election, dear friends and comrades, the overwhelming majority of our people remains to stay at home, because they say a European election is not so important, it's a sunny day and I go to the beach. I can tell you, liberal and conservative voters, they vote very disciplined. With this result, an overwhelming majority in the European Parliament for their parties, and less influence for the workers' movement in the lawmaking process in the European Union. Therefore, it's not only necessary to win elections on a national level, we need also the election and the victories on the European level. And looking to what happened in the Brexit vote was a similar event than in the European election. The overwhelming majority of those young people who are in favor of the European Union, are in favor of that idea, in favor of a social Europe, on Sunday or vote, remain to stay at home. Therefore, to win elections, we have to mobilize. And therefore, one task, and I'm so grateful for our meeting today, one task is that a man like me, running for a more social Europe, can't win alone. I'm very happy about your support. I'm very happy to be received here with applause, better than the other way around. But I need everybody. Every young man, every young woman, I need every party. We, Stanishev, me, the other leaders in Europe, we need a mobilized European left. And therefore, 1, 2, 3 comic made a very good message. Please, let's discuss internally until the last full stop in our resolutions. Yes, but once the resolutions are adopted, we have to fight together and not against each other. The other side is always united when it is against us. That's a very serious message. The other side is always united if it is against us. We are too often divided if it is against them. Therefore, what we need in Europe is a united European left and not a divided European left. It is a sad development looking to France that we are so divided amongst left-wing people sharing the same convictions. sharing the same values, acting on the same values with normally the same goals, and then divided often on marginal questions. Therefore, one appeal to all of us. We are living in dramatic times. What we could learn from the election campaign in the United States, comrades, is that you can win elections with humiliation of your opponents, with a scapegoat policy of whole groups in a nation, that you can win election with fake news and with the lowest level of arguments and with a refusal of fundamental respect to those who don't share your opinion. This is anti-democratic, but you can win elections. And there is a lot of people in our country, in Germany, thinking that they should do the same. And there is a lot of people in other countries doing the same. And the man who had the profit of it became the President of the United States. I don't believe that Marine Le Pen will win the French election. But let's a moment think what would happen if. Look to Geert Wilders in the Netherlands. Look to the people like Salvini or Grillo in Italy, who want to destroy the European Union and who want to get majorities with exactly these methods, exactly these strategies. No. We are not living in times where we could believe, where we can believe that with the discussion amongst us the problems are solved. Yes, we need our discussions, we need our debates, but what we need is one thing more than ever: the mood to fight against the enemies of democracy, and to stick together and to build a common front, even if we are divided in detail. On the basic question, we must be united, and the basic question is that for the victory of evil, it is enough that the good ones do nothing. That means we have to mobilize and to stand together, like one man and one woman, side by side, in the best tradition of our ancestors. Whenever democracy is in danger, it is our task of socialists and social democrats to defend democracy. What we have to do in these times is to fight for Europe, because a strong and united Europe, a social Europe based on mutual respect and of our common values, is the best protection against the enemies of democracies. It is time to turn Europe left to our values of social democracy, of social Europe, on mutual respect